what I've learned is don't take anybody serious who's not serious about life, who's not ready for life. Don't take anybody serious who is not ready for life. If they're not ready for life, that's just a fun thing. That's just a sex thing. That's just a going through the emotions type of thing. Okay? When you're ready for real life, you're ready to understand, overstand, understand real estate, finances, trust laws. Okay? If you're getting involved with, an airhead or somebody that's just slow or literally just don't want to learn about asset protection or building assets, you know what I'm saying? If you're trying to get involved with somebody like that, you're just asking for a world of trouble. A world of trouble. Okay, try to, this goes with the other video that I was doing on my other channel. Um Basically 101 things to know about the person you're dating before hang on one second. Hey, you're dating mind and head. You want to know what's going on in their mind and head. And if a person cannot comprehend real estate law, business law, trust law, if they can't comprehend this type of stuff, but you are on that, then that's not the person for you. That's just a good time. Now, if you're both airheads, you know what I'm saying? Neither one you care about really learning any of that stuff. You just want to work hard and retire and, just have a will and um, let your heirs, your descendants fight over a will and leave some life insurance. If that's all you want to do, that's fine. Go ahead. But for real gods and goddesses, real people making boss moves out here, um, you want to mate yourself to those of like-mindedness, who feel an urgency to make these type of boss moves. Now I'm gonna play a little bit of this video from this guy here that I've been watching for a while and stuff like that. This is just one of the people that I watch when it comes to asset protection and stuff like that. And I want y'all to check out his channel and watch videos like this. It's not all about watching hotep videos and shit like that and knowledge of self videos. You guys really need to be balanced and do shit according to the world you live in. You lottery winnings and hide your lottery winnings and trusts and talk about doing stuff in vain. So anyhow, I'm gonna just play a little bit of the sauce that this guy got right here, so y'all can hear.
Make sure I want to make sure that you don't see much. And I'll explain how each one of these things works. But I want to make it to where much in the public record, they're not really going to be able to do that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, if I get sued, they're going to ask for my car accident. Has nothing to do with my financial situation. They get a judgment, then they go to supplemental proceedings that they can start asking for those things. But that's generally a year and a half, 2 years now. It's a long time before they get to start doing discovery as to your financial condition. What we're trying to do is a big question mark, or it gets close to zero. So the settlement value of your case stays as close as possible to up here. Like what we want to do is kind of keep you in that area where somebody is saying, you actually damaged me, but I don't know if I'm going to recover. So I'm going to be on the lower end of that spectrum. I'm going to settle for a reasonable amount. What you don't want is the person to go pin their ears back and say, I'm going to go after everything you have. I'm going to scare the snot out of you and I'm going to roll the dice with the jury and try to get some obscene amount. We're going to ask for something ridiculous. And they're just shaking you down because you have money. And you're like, you wouldn't do this to a normal person. You're only doing this to me because you think that I have the money and you're just just going to shake me down because you think I'm rich and it's going to suck up my time, which happens all the time. Why am I suing you? Because you have the money. So let's go back to our situation. We had a catastrophic injury. Brother one. This was in a state where the state laws protected certain assets like the IRAs and 401ks actually were protected. And the homestead on the house was really low. So they could potentially take a house. So we had put protections in place by taking their name off of it. So if somebody couldn't just pull up and see everything this person had. So brother one did not look like they had much of anything. Guess what happened to that first brother? One. They had a 100% chance of recovery on the insurance, not much percentage chance of recovery on anything above. So they said, hey, let's just take what, bird in the hand. Let's do that. The other brother, who was not our client, who actually owned less assets than our client, ended up in protracted litigation. They were going after everything because they could see lots of rental properties and lots of businesses. So they put him through over 3 years of litigation, trying to get more than just the insurance. There was other parties too that were sued. All of them settled out fairly quickly because they didn't have anything. The two brothers, it was just interesting. Both high net worth individuals. One had invisibility. We call it security through obscurity. We made sure that their assets were obscure. I can't pin down what you got unless you tell me. And because of that, the settlement value went way down. They were able to get out. The brother that did not have obscurity, where everything was visible, the chance of recovery went way back up, and they were willing to roll the dice on the claim because there's something called joint and several liability. All I got to do is nail one of you guys, and I can get the whole judgment. So they're looking at it going, oh my God, what should I do? I'm going to settle out with these guys, but I'm going to keep Mr. Moneybags on the hook. You don't want to be perceived as Mr. Moneybags or Mrs. Moneybags. You want to be perceived as the obscure. I don't know what they have. You want to be a big question mark. And here's how we do it. Number one, can they see your house in a public record? The answer is yes. If your name is on that house, I can pull a national search and see, whether you have anything in your name. I could use a service. I could probably just do it off the internet, but for sure, a private investigator is going to pull that stuff up, and they're going to see everything that you have, and they're going to see all of your land titled in any county in the United States. They'll be able to see it. So yes, they'll be able to see your house. How do I get my name off of a house? People say, oh, you can't do it. Here's how you do it. You take that house and you transfer it into something called a land trust. In a land trust, you're separating out the title, the name that it's held in, from the beneficial use and enjoyment. That's all you're doing. Land trusts have been around for years and years and years. They came out when the Sears Tower was built. That's a great example. Also, Disney World used land trust. There's some states have statutes, like I just mentioned, Illinois and Florida. Both of those have statutes, but every state recognizes a grantor trust, which if it owns real estate only, we call it a land trust. Every state recognizes land trust. If some lawyer or somebody says, oh, my state doesn't have land trust, they may not have a statute. It's in the teens how many states have statutes. I think it's like 14 or 15, but it doesn't matter because all states recognize grantor trusts. A grantor trust example, personal property trust, or a living trust. You guys all heard of inter vivos trust or living trust. Every state recognizes it. That's just a grantor trust. They're the same exact.
Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. You want to have everything in a trust. I have the land trust document right here. Okay, I have the land trust documents right here. I have all my properties in a land trust. Nobody knows what I really have, what I really want. I could say what I have, but nobody can really prove it because everything is held privately in a land trust. I could easily say, hey, I was just entertaining people. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah. I'm just out here flogging. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the only one who needs to know what I own and how much I own and where I own is me and my beneficiaries. Okay, which my beneficiaries are my descendants. Okay, so this is where you hold your property is in your land trust. Okay, and as you could see, it's well detailed, and it's like 10 pages, and I have this document. All right, now there's other things that you guys need to know about. You need to know about a living trust. Okay, let me go back and play that a little bit of that video for you and stuff like that. But these are things you guys need to be more apt to learn about, also not just hotep and
Hey
shit.
guys, Toby Mathis here with the Anderson Business
So here's
Advisors.
another
Today we're going
video.
to be going over Living Trust 101. Let's dive right on in. All right. In order to understand living trust, you have to understand the life of an asset, right? There's no such thing as us taking it with us. So if we accumulate things during our lifetime, quite often they're in our name, or they're titled in our name, or they're in our houses, they're in our safety deposit boxes, they're in all these different things. They're in our safe, you name it. I've got cars in my name, I've got checking accounts and all these things. If they're in my name and then I cease to exist, who's going to get it? And that's basically it. I drive a car, it's in my name, and I live, and then someday I pass unexpectedly, and that vehicle is still in my name. So what's going to get the DMV or the Department of Motor Vehicles or whatever it is in your state to transfer that asset to somebody else? Well, they don't just do it willy-nilly, right? They need to know who is entitled to that asset. And so there's a couple things that come into play. First off, during your lifetime, how you hold things. So for example, my wife and I, we may have a joint account, which is joint tenants with rights of survivorship. So I may have something that I own with somebody else that is already built in estate planning, that already says, hey, if something happens to me, it goes to them. But here's the question. What happens when they pass? You're going to be dealing with this no matter what. I promise you. Everybody, every estate gets to deal with what happens to your stuff when you pass. Now, if it's a small amount of assets, you might fly under the radar. They call that a low asset probate. Hey, I might not even have to physically go to the courthouse to get a judge to sign off and change the name on an asset. For example, if I have a car.
Okay, that's a living trust. All right, I have one of those as well.
Yeah. That wait for a few more people this time, making sure that you have a living trust that you get it started. So here's a little bit of humor to get us off on the right foot. And it's the dog and the cat saying, geez, I can't believe she left everything to that stupid parakeet. Let's see if any of you guys have lived that one. Before we get right into the living trust itself, it's important to understand that a living trust is only one component of an overall structure, and that a lot of things can still happen to us while we are alive. And so one of the first things I always address when I talk to clients is, let's say you're driving down the road and somebody's texting and they go ahead and swerve off and hit you, and they knock you into Tuesday, where you're just not in a good position to answer for yourself. Then the question is, the first responders, what are they going to be doing? How are they going to know to get a hold of somebody? And more importantly, who would they get a hold of? And then even if they could get a hold of that person, what information would they be able to share? And so your living trust and your estate plan really should be able to handle that as well right off the gate. And if by transferring to the trust there would be a loss of taxes or a result in a loss of homestead, then that is not transferred. That is excluded. And the types of things that we don't want to put in there are other trusts, things like life insurance policies where there's already an agreement. And we're going to go over life insurance policies and how they could be titled, pension plans, profit sharing plans. A love child and Cher, who loves the spotlight, come in and make contests. And that poor widow was doing her best to just try to bury her husband while all of the accounts were locked up and had to go to court to deal with those things. We've dealt with this on a number of occasions. Last week, I was talking to a client who said, I will never want to go through what my friend went through. And her husband died, and for the better part of a year and a half, every time she needed money, she had to go back to court. You don't want that. Just title the accounts into the name of the trust, and it's done. It's automatic. Um, that's one way. Number two way to get assets into the trust is just to simply assign it. So here's an example. I have Sample LLC. This is how simple an assignment is. I just says basically I'm transferring 100% of my interest into the trust. Now, instead of Joe Client being the owner, I'll go back to using Joe Smith. Let's say Joe Smith is the member. Now it's Joe Smith, trustee of the Smith Family Trust, is the member. It's still
Okay, and this is the document basically he's showing
Joe
right here.
Smith. When anybody needs to get approval on something, it's still Joe Smith until there is no Joe Smith. And if Joe Smith passes, guess what? Who's the member of that LLC? The living trust, and the successor trustee will be able to step in.
All right, this is stuff you don't hear a lot about, people. You don't hear a lot about this stuff because they don't want you to know about this stuff. Okay, they want you to know about LLCs and stuff like that. Man, I got a hotline tonight. They want you to learn about LLCs and all that type of stuff. Okay, so when you have an LLC, you're in the public. Okay, meaning that the owner of the LLC name is there. Anybody could look up the LLC, who owns the LLC and all this type of stuff. Oh my God. Hang on. Hey, I gotta call you right back. All right. Yeah. So, um, you have to know how to protect your assets. You cannot go through life and buy a house, buy expensive car, buy jewelry, have a bank account, and not know how to protect your assets. It's a damn shame that Michael Jackson, Prince, a lot of these people died, Aretha Franklin, and they did not have trusts. They did not have living trusts or land trusts for their property, any of that stuff. Which 9 times out of 10, they did have a will and stuff set up, but they didn't execute the will. Okay, the difference between a will and a will you still have to go through probate and stuff like that. A trust, everything is already set up. Who gets what? It's already set up. That's why it's called a living trust, because you've already set up everything. Who's gonna get what? A will, you put in there who you wish to get it, who you will to get it, who you wish to get it, but it can go through probate. That's why attorneys always recommend a will, because you pay about $100, $99 for a will, but the attorney, when it goes through probate, they're gonna make about $100,000 trying to probate that your estate. Okay, but if you just go ahead and set up a trust right away for few thousand dollars, everything is set up. You're good to go for the rest of your life. Watch those videos. You could even set up down the line stuff that your great grandkids get this money, your great great grandkids get this money. You could set up down the line stuff if you don't want your direct kids to get anything. You can make sure your grandkids get it, your great great grandkids get it, stuff like that. But anyhow, make sure you're dating somebody, in your 101 ways of filtering out people. Make sure you if you're, seriously looking into um being with somebody forever, especially during your dying days on this planet, your transition days on this planet, whoever's going to be with you at that last moment, make sure they comprehend stuff like this. Okay, please make sure they comprehend stuff like this, because if not, and they're an airhead, then they're going to be trying to sue your estate, do all kind of silly stuff, which they probably won't get anything if you have everything set up right, but you just don't want anybody to go through that. You want people to have a clear idea of what they're going to get when you transition. all your offsprings, your descendants, your spouse or spouses. You want to make sure they have a clear indication of what they're going to get and have all that already set up for them. And you should actually have them already controlling those assets before you transcend. So everything is just a smooth transition. Okay. But I just thought this was important to do this video because, in dating women, I'm like, God damn, I try to explain some of this shit to females, and you send videos to people and shit like that, they don't even watch them. And it's like, man, and I'm supposed to fucking marry you, you know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to have offsprings with you, I'm supposed to be with you, and you're not even fucking interested in learning any of this shit. So how the fuck, I'm building assets and all this type of shit, you know what I mean? And you don't even know how to protect any of it. You don't even know how to handle business. God forbid anything happened to me. You know what I'm saying? So, these are all things to look at when choosing that mate, that forever mate, or that mate you want to be with you when you transcend. There's a lot of things to look at, but this is just another one to add to it. And then a lot of people, a lot of guys, they're like, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? These females out here are airheads, you know what I'm saying? These dudes out here are freaking just trying to fuck everything, fuck trying to explain shit like this to them, just have a good time with them and stuff like that. And yeah, you could go ahead and live your life like that too. Just live the rest of your life or your end days just having a good time with people, like that guy did with Anna Nicole and stuff like that, and just make sure you leave them something like, Anna Nicole was left something. You know what I'm saying? So you could live your life that way too. But it's probably more fulfilling that you live your life with somebody that you can share these type of things with, and you're all on the same page. You're not unequally yoked, and you can um you know better equip people for when you transition. Okay, so just little something to think about. All right, talk to you guys later. Peace. Love you guys.